It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10. Our top story. Prince Andrew announces he's given up his royal titles and will no longer be known as the Duke of York. He says accusations against him have become a distraction from the King's work as he denies all wrongdoing. Tonight, we'll assess what it means for him and for the royal family. The government insists it's doing everything in its power to overturn a ban on Israeli football fans at a match in Birmingham. Zelensky offers Trump a deal which would let Ukraine use Tomahawk cruise missiles against Russia. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30. Good evening. We begin with the news breaking tonight that Prince Andrew has given up his royal titles and honours with immediate effect and will no longer be known as the Duke of York. He said that continued accusations against him were distracting from the work of the royal family and that he'd made the decision after discussions with the King. The move comes as Andrew faces scrutiny over his relationship with the late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein and allegations made against him by the late Virginia Giuffre. Andrew insisted tonight that he vigorously denied wrongdoing. Our royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills reports.
Just weeks ago, Prince Andrew surprised everyone as he appeared at the Duchess of Kent's funeral. Not, it seems, entirely welcome by all the family, and a distraction that was clearly felt had got to stop. In the most personal statement, Prince Andrew wrote, "In discussion with the King and my immediate wider family, we have concluded that continued accusations about me distract from the work of His Majesty and the royal family. I have decided, as I always have, to put my duty to my family and my country first. I stand by my decision 5 years ago to stand back from public life. With His Majesty's agreement, we feel I must now go a step further. I will therefore no longer use my title or the honours which have been conferred upon me. As I have said previously, I vigorously deny the accusations against me." In recent weeks, the stories around Prince Andrew and his association with convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein have surfaced again, as well as the accusations made by Virginia Giuffre, who, in a book due to be released this week despite her death from suicide earlier this year, said that it felt like it was his birthright to have sex with her when she was just 17. The lurid details, which he denies, again becoming an unwelcome distraction for the family and leading to questions about what the King would do about it.
This is a clear indication that extreme pressure has been put on Prince Andrew to do, if you like, the decent thing, to fall on his sword. I think if he hadn't fallen on his sword, he would have been pushed very firmly onto it. He could not go on all these headlines, which are indeed distracting from the work of the family. And I think there have been some very pointed words, obviously, between Charles and I think William very much in the background, putting the pressure on Andrew to do what most of us would see as the decent thing.
It was, of course, the Newsnight interview in 2019 that was his initial undoing, an interview that was meant to shut down the noise and the scandal. That hasn't happened, despite him being forced in many ways to live the life of a recluse at his home, Royal Lodge on the Windsor estate, a home he still keeps.
I think the feeling was that this could only get worse and best to address it now, rather than this drip feed, which was undermining everyone's role in the monarchy. I think we may well see more pressure to get him out of Royal Lodge. The optics don't look very good for a non-working royal. He has a ironclad lease there, and he's hanging in there as his last bit of royal status.
There was always a sense that the Queen was, in some ways, protecting her son. Yes, she removed his military affiliations and HRH title, but some felt it wasn't enough. He will still be known as Prince Andrew, as he remains her son, but will not use his Duke of York title. No longer allowed to attend public royal events like these, he has continued to be welcome at family events. On this occasion, he will no doubt see that he's done them a favour by personally relinquishing his titles, although it seems encouraged to do so. The King said to be glad of the outcome. But the final sentence of his statement brings it back to him as he uses this rare public moment to again deny all the allegations against him. Rhiannon Mills, Sky News.
Well, let's take you live now to Buckingham Palace and our royal correspondent Laura Bundock. Laura, a huge decision by the King and Prince Andrew.
It certainly is. Look, for years and years, there have been rumours and revelations, sordid scandals surrounding Prince Andrew. But I think in recent months, the stories have simply spiralled. Each one not just damaging for Prince Andrew, but of course damaging and a huge distraction for the wider working royal family too. But I think what we've seen in the last few days and couple of weeks, when we've had the release of another email connecting Prince Andrew to the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, we've had Andrew's name come up in connection with allegations about alleged Chinese spies once more, and of course those details due out with the publishing of the posthumous memoir of Virginia Giuffre, the situation had just become untenable and intolerable, and this week the tipping point had been reached. I think that astonishing statement released by Buckingham Palace really said it all. Those words might be from Prince Andrew, but it is very clear he had little say in the matter. He was forced to fall on his sword, and from the King we're told he was glad at the outcome of what has now happened to his brother. And I think certainly this evening there will be a huge sense of relief about all of this from behind palace walls.
Laura, thank you very much for the moment. We're joined now by the contemporary historian Sir Anthony Selden. Good evening to you. Were you surprised by the decision that's been taken this evening?
No, not at all. I think it could perhaps have come earlier, and I think it was inevitable that it was going to happen because there was just one thing after another. On and on it rolled, and it was distracting. And there is the King trying to establish, carve out monarchy in the 21st century, taking over from his mother, who had her own vision, and a constant noise off from his brother, no less. And it was going to come. And the question really is, will it now be an end to it? Has enough happened to stop the stories and so that everyone can move on?
You they're suggesting that it could have come sooner. Does that mean that you believe that the royal family, that the King has not handled this situation appropriately?
No, I don't think that's not at all what I'm saying. I think that I think he's, look, it's his brother, and that they're a royal family, that they're not a royal company. It's a family, and that's how it works. And that the constant stream of stories and climaxing this week meant, I think, it simply became too much. And there it is. It's a big.
But you do believe that it could have come sooner, though?
I think you're slightly twisting my words, actually. I'm saying that it's a surprise in a way that it's not. I
thought you
a surprise
said that it could have come sooner. That's exactly what you said.
Yes, I mean, I think the surprise is that it didn't come sooner, that it has gone on for so long. It's come now. It's clearly an act of reluctance, and it's a real powerful sense to move the agenda on. And let's move the agenda of this conversation on.
Relinquishing the titles, does that now draw a line under the whole?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it will certainly go a long way. I mean, if my history is correct, it is over 100 years since a duke has lost the title, and that was the grandson of Queen Victoria, who fought for the Germans in the First World War. There were two dukes who lost their titles, so they were the last senior royals I know of who lost the Duke. So, I mean, it is it's a very big event. It's a very big occasion. So I think it will probably be enough to stop it. But who knows, what else there's going to be out there. And but my sense is it will have done enough.
And what will it mean for Prince Andrew on a day-to-day basis? What will his life be now? What does that look like for him?
Don't know, but he clearly has been very attached to his notion of his own role, and he hasn't been able to do that for the last 5, 6 years since he's withdrawn. He's going to have to withdraw even more. He is a devoted father of his two daughters, and who knows? I mean, will he be able to do anything now to rehabilitate himself? Will he want to do that? I don't know. I mean, I think it's for him. It's a significant personal, very significant personal shock and blow. But I think it's absolutely right for the royal family that it is now done as much as it can do to say that the royal family goes on. It's got an enormous amount of work to do. There are very, very hard-working royals who are doing their best for the country at a time of a lot of uncertainty in the country, and in trying to define the role of the monarchy for the second quarter of the 21st century, it's simply not helpful and not right to have somebody who's got so many lingering stories that keep coming back. It's not the image that the monarchy wants, which is to be a present and a good and a moral force in the nation, supporting good moral causes and helping those who are struggling, the homeless for Prince William, the environment, those who have had physical and mental problems, difficulties. I mean, this is the kind of welfare activist, compassionate monarchy representing what's best in the country, and this was heavily discordant. So in that sense, it could have come earlier. It's come now, and good. I think it's the right thing.
Overall, though, how do you think it's impacted the royal family?
Well, I don't think it has had an enormous. It's been an unpleasant noise, but ever since the king succeeded his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, people have priced in the fact that there are all these stories about Prince Andrew. So I'm not certain that it has had that damaging an effect. It's been a distraction. It's been something that has constantly come up, not the least this week. But I think the more remarkable and interesting story actually is, to the surprise of many people, the king has managed to put his own imprint on the monarchy, succeeding his mother, having waited 70 years to take over. Some people thought he would be too outspoken. Some people thought that he wouldn't have perhaps the energy, the drive that he once had. I think looking back over those first 3 years, he has defined a role. I think we saw that very clearly when President Trump was over. We can ask legitimately a question: would President Trump have come to Britain 2, 3 weeks ago had it not been for that royal invitation that was presented to President Trump at the White House by the Prime Minister, no less, famously recorded on camera? And this is showing the continued relevance of the monarchy, and that is what the monarchy wants to be doing. It wants to be showing it's a force for good, a force for unity, a force for pride in the country, and a force also for economic strength.
Sir Anthony Seldon, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Well, Prince Andrew has rarely been far from the spotlight in recent years, as details of his private life and allegations about his behaviour were made public. In March 2001, Prince Andrew denied allegations made by Virginia Giuffre that he'd sexually assaulted her when she was 17. In July 2011, Andrew quit his role as a trade envoy after it emerged he'd maintained contact with paedophile Jeffrey Epstein after the financier had been convicted of child sexual offences. In April of 2015, allegations that Andrew had sex with Virginia Giuffre emerged in court documents in Florida. Buckingham Palace denied the claims. In November 2019, Prince Andrew stepped back from public duties after an interview in which he claimed he could not have had sex with Miss Giuffre because he was at home after visiting a restaurant in Woking. In January of 2022, Queen Elizabeth stripped Andrew of military affiliations and royal patronages. In February of 2022, Andrew reached a settlement in principle with Virginia Giuffre in which he agreed to make a substantial donation to a charity. And in January of this year, email messages in court documents suggested that Andrew had remained in contact with Jeffrey Epstein until February 2011. That's despite claiming that he'd cut ties with Epstein the year before. A reminder that tonight Prince Andrew said he vigorously denied the accusations against him. Well, let's return to Buckingham Palace now and our royal correspondent Laura Bundock. And Laura, a firm denial of the accusations from Prince Andrew, but it seems the royal family had had enough.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Prince Andrew has strenuously denied any of the allegations over the years. But I think enough was enough, that this was the final straw, that the recent revelations that have come out. He had simply run out of road. The question now, where does that leave him? Well, we'll never see him on the Buckingham Palace balcony again, that's for sure. He won't be using his Duke of York title. He'll play no part in Garter Day, and we're told he won't even go to Sandringham for the traditional royal family Christmas gathering. Neither will his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, with whom he still shares that large home royal lodge on the Windsor estate. We're told she won't use the title Duchess of York either. As for his two daughters, their princess titles remain. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie still use those titles. It hasn't affected them at all. They are, of course, still welcome to take part in family events as well. This is, though, a really huge and humiliating fall from grace for Prince Andrew, a final fall from grace, if you like. He has long enjoyed the privileges of his position. I think the royal family will be hoping this matter is simply put to bed now, but whether or not all the headlines, the allegations, the accusations stop now, well, that's a different question altogether.
Laura, thank you. Laura Bundock reporting from Buckingham Palace for us tonight. To other news now, and the authorities in Birmingham are coming under pressure tonight from ministers to reverse their decision to ban Israeli football fans from a match in the city next month. The government says it's doing everything in its power to allow Maccabi Tel Aviv fans to attend the game against Aston Villa after the Prime Minister made clear he'd been angered by the ban. But the government is also coming under political pressure after it emerged that police had warned the Home Office last week that a ban might be applied. Our sports correspondent Rob Harris reports.
These are the two sides of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, how they want to be seen celebrating success at home, but how they have been captured abroad, confrontational, at times offensive. Partly why police said they're not welcome at Aston Villa next month, with their safety at risk. But there's a growing backlash to banning Israelis from the Europa League match, pitting politicians widely against police.
It's just completely and utterly unacceptable, and the Prime Minister has said we will do everything we possibly can to resolve this issue.
I think it is a national disgrace. This is something that the police should be able to deal with.
It's completely wrong to tackle anti-Semitism by banning its victims.
The Tories are criticising Sir Keir Starmer for only publicly intervening now, when police briefed the Home Office last week on the prospect of a ban. A government spokesperson said, "No one should be stopped from watching a football game simply because of who they are. The government is working with policing and other partners to do everything in our power to ensure this game can safely go ahead with all fans present." We are exploring what additional resources and support are required so all fans can attend. West Midlands police claim they couldn't deal with safety concerns around a high-risk game with potential protests. They cited current intelligence on what they called violent clashes and hate crimes last year when Maccabi played in Amsterdam. Olé! There were anti-Arab chants and Palestinian flags ripped down, but authorities said locals had chased down Israelis, attacks through the streets branded anti-Semitic. So for the Israeli government, Britain should be facilitating fans coming to Villa.
Seen the last couple of years regarding pro-Palestinian demonstrations where you had tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian demonstrators walking the streets of London and other cities in the UK, being guarded by police officers. So the 1,000 Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, or even less than that, that will come to support their team in Birmingham, I'm sure it's not a huge challenge, but it is a challenge. I don't think there's anything to justify a ban, and I don't think I can... I want to approve with anti-Arab or anti-Muslim songs from Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. That is something that is dealt with also on the Israeli FA side.
Protests have targeted Israel's national team this month, but Palestinian activists claim Maccabi fans are the threat.
Maybe, as they have previously, commit racist acts of violence on local residents. Keir Starmer will own that. He will have green-lighted it, he will have facilitated it, he will have endorsed it.
Football a flashpoint for tensions rippling from the Gaza war. Sure to be inflamed if the ban on Israeli fans is overturned, when it's reassessed next week by Birmingham City Council. Rob Harris, Sky News.
Let's go live to Downing Street now, and Rob joins us. Rob, the government's saying that they're doing all they can, but after a day of negotiations, there's still no change, is there?
Yeah, after all the sound and fury from here earlier, it now looks like we'll be waiting till early next week for a decision on whether this ban gets reversed or not. Essentially, the government has gone to West Midlands Police and said, tell us what you need resource-wise to be able to police this safely when both sets of fans are able to be in attendance. They've been told to come back to the government by early next week or potentially sooner. Then there'll be a meeting of that body, that safety body that recommended the ban in the first place, early next week. And I think the hope here is that by that point, they will be able to reassess the safety threat, essentially, and conclude that it can go ahead with both sets of fans in attendance, and Downing Street will essentially get their way without it looking too much like they're meddling in the operational independence of the police. It's a test for Keir Starmer, though. Once again, he looks to be putting faith in the process when it hasn't really worked before. You look at things like the collapse of the China spy trial. Sometimes good process doesn't always lead to good politics. And this is a story with a very serious and strong political dimension. So many will be looking to Number 10 and asking and expecting Keir Starmer to be able to push through the bureaucracy, the blocks, and push past any process barriers that he encounters to get his way. I think the other question about the handling of this from the government that's interesting is we know that the Home Office knew that there was potential for a ban of this type to be issued last week. They were briefed on the options, on the issues connected to this football game, and told that this was a possibility. Now, Home Office sources are pretty clear that at that point no final decision had been made. But if there was the potential for this, it does make you wonder why no action was taken to try and see this off before it actually came into force. Because, of course, the risk is now, even if this ban is reversed, you have a situation where anger has been allowed to fester on both sides over this. The risk of protests has to be heightened because of this whole affair. And so actually the safety concerns that led to the ban being triggered in the first place may actually now be heightened.
Rob, thank you. Rob Powell at Downing Street for us there. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has suggested that Ukraine can provide the US with thousands of drones if Washington allows it to use Tomahawk missiles. The weapons have been at the top of Ukraine's wish list for some months, as they would allow Ukraine to hit military targets deep inside Russia. At a meeting at the White House tonight, President Trump did not agree to the deal, but said the United States would be interested in buying drones in exchange. Our US correspondent David Blevins reports.
Ready, post.
A colour party welcome, but a chill in the air. President Zelensky returned to the White House, hoping for weapons, not just handshakes.
President Trump, sir, do you believe you can convince Vladimir Putin to end the war in Ukraine?
They sat face to face, but the distance between their positions was evident.
This is a very important moment.
Ukraine seeking Tomahawk missiles. President Trump non-committal.
We need Tomahawks and we need a lot of other things that we've been sending over the last 4 years to Ukraine. So that's one of the things we'll be talking about. Hopefully they won't need it. Hopefully we'll be able to get the war over with without thinking about Tomahawks.
If you want to target a military goal, you need thousands of drones. It goes together with such missiles. Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks.
Separate but equal was how Donald Trump described this meeting with Zelensky.
Yeah, please.
And the one he's planning with Putin soon.
Aren't you concerned that maybe the Russian president is trying to buy himself more time?
Yeah, I am, but, you know, I've been played all my life by the best of them, and I came out really well. So it's possible, yeah. There's no deal until there's a deal.
Their summit in Alaska brought the Russian president in from the cold, Trump welcoming him onto US soil for the first time in 10 years. The sequel, scheduled to take place in Hungary, will see Putin return to an EU country for the first time since Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
And I think it looks beautiful in his jacket.
Yeah?
It's beautiful.
Since the war of words in the Oval Office in February, things have been much better in this on-off relationship.
Who is doing a better job negotiating, President Zelensky or President Putin?
I think they're both doing a great job in that sense. We have to get it done. They have tremendous bad blood. It really is what is holding up, I think, a settlement. I think we're going to get it done. And we have to make it long-lasting, as I said in the Middle East, everlasting, right? Everlasting.
Trump's framing himself as the mediator president and feels there's momentum after the breakthrough in the Middle East. He says there's a good chance of ending the war despite the bad blood between Putin and Zelensky. But a phone call to one yesterday and a meeting with the other today, and there's still no obvious route to a ceasefire yet. From Gaza to Kyiv, he's banking on a domino effect. But there's much more at stake for Zelensky than there is for the US president. One is peacemaking abroad, while the other contends with the war that's still going on at home.
And David Blevins joins us live from the White House now. David, is it no deal or is that too simplistic? Zelensky's gone all this way and there's no promise of Tomahawks.
I think there's no deal, but there has been some progress, perhaps. The meeting is over. President Zelensky's left the White House. President Trump's on his way to Florida, but they have each given us their version of the discussion. President Trump's coming in a Truth Social platform in the last few minutes. He says he told President Zelensky what he had told President Putin, the key bit about halfway through the post. They should stop where they are. Let both claim victory. Let history decide. No more shooting, no more death, no more vast and unsustainable sums of money spent. For his part, Volodymyr Zelensky has already spoken to European allies. When I asked him if he had called them for support because he believes President Putin is playing President Trump, he said he'd called to update them because he always has their support. When I asked him if he felt that was more vital than ever because there's going to be a second Trump-Putin summit, he said he didn't want to divide Europe and the United States, but wanted there to be a good relationship. He also confirmed that he and President Trump had talked about drones, had talked about Tomahawks, but agreed not to go into the detail after the meeting in public. He also said he wants this president to end the war in Ukraine and believes President Trump understands that the most difficult question of all will be that of territory.
David, thank you. Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's newspapers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by the CEO of Total Politics Group, Mark Wallace, and the Daily Mirror columnist, Susie Boniface. Amongst the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of The Sun, their headline, the banned old Duke of York. More on Prince Andrew relinquishing his titles coming up. Do stay with us.